The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I'd like to share with everyone a fascinating, literally a fascinating story with the Providence Yeshiva. His name was Rabbi Yosef Palacci. Now listen to this. Many years ago, we're talking about many years ago, he opened up a yeshiva. He opened up a small yeshiva. And what was going on is, he had one house that the first graders, second graders were there. The second house was like the fourth and the fifth. Each house was like, it wasn't put together. There was a very hashuv bishop. And he had a huge amount of land. And he said, I'm selling my land. It's really worth double the amount. I'm selling it for 25,000. And back in the day it was rubles. I'm selling it for 25,000 rubles. But, as he put it there, it's got to be all cash. It's got to be all cash, ready to go. Miyad. The Providence Yeshiva of Yosef Palacci says, I got it, B'ezras Hashem. I'm going to go, speak to the bishop. He goes to the bishop and says, listen, I need that land, I need this. Please, I beg you. So he says, okay, do you have the 25,000? Give me a month. You'll have everything. So he says, okay, you got to give me something to deposit. He goes home. His father-in-law gave him a dowry of $5,000, 5,000 rubles. So he tells his wife, he says, I'd like to invest this 5,000 rubles into this. What's going to be with our parnasah, what's going to be with it? But this is very important. He went all out. He physically went all out. He says, I'm going to go all out for this. He went ahead, he gives to the bishop 5,000 rubles. Here you go. Puts him as the down payment. Now he puts it as the down payment. He's going around to collect. Now he knows donors and he's a very popular rabbi. So he goes to one, I just put an investment, I'm waiting for my returns. In 6 months, I'll guarantee you, I'll be able to cover a few thousand rubles, just give me a few months, 6 months. And the other one was saying, oh man, I just lent person money, a lot of money, as soon as he pays me back. And each one was saying something else. And it was coming to the time where he had about 3 more days left. And it was over a Shabbat. Came Shabbat, who comes over? His in-laws. He came over. And they see now their daughter is like, says, what's the matter? He says, my husband took the 5,000 rubles and starts saying, and this. So now they're getting upset. What'd you do? You're going to lose the money. You're going to this, you're going to that. He says, don't worry. Hashem's in charge. It's Bitachon Hashem. This is what I'm doing. I did it for Hashem. I didn't do it for my own honor. I did it for Hashem's honor. He goes ahead and he goes to the Beit Midrash. And he's learning, like it says, Lule Toratcha Sha'ashuai Azavati Be'onyi. If it wasn't for the Torah, how many people would just like, the Torah lifted him up. He went ahead, he opened up his Gemara, he opened up the Torah, he sat there for about 3 to 4 hours just sitting and learning. Just sitting and learning. He didn't even open up. Finally, he looks at his watch, looks at the time, it's 2 a.m. He ends up going back to his house. And he ends up going back to his house. And he sees over there, his lights are open. He's like, what's going on? Why are my lights open? He says, what could possibly be? 2 o'clock in the morning. He opens up the door. He sees 2 wealthy men. He says, how can I help you? He says, Rabbi, we have great news for you. He says, yes. My daughter is marrying this man's son. And I'm putting a dowry and he's putting a dowry down. I'm putting 10,000 rubles and he's putting 10,000 rubles. And we want you to hold it until the wedding comes. Then you'll be the shomer to give it us the wedding day. So for our children. Can you? Says, listen. And he says, I don't have a safe in my house. I don't want to be responsible for 20,000 rubles. But one thing is for sure. That if you give me this, B'ezras Hashem, in 6 months, I'll return it back 100%. Says, okay, no problem. We trust you, the rabbi. No problem. Here's 10,000. Here's 10,000. Here's 20,000. That night, he said, okay, I have 6 months to pay this back, and he'll get it done. Like he remembered the wealthy man said in 6 months, he'll be okay. What does he do? He goes ahead and He goes to he stays up all night, waits till the morning, goes to the bishop, tells the bishop, he says, here's the 20,000 rubles. He gives him the rubles, and he now owns in Bnei Brak the property. If you ever go to Bnei Brak, you have the whole Yeshivat Panovich. He owns the whole entire area. It's a huge area. You go to the Beit Midrash over there. I went. Forget about it. And he closes the deal. And now he's happy, Baruch Hashem, Yeshiva's going to come back. Comes back home. Who does he see? The two wealthy men are there. He says, yes, how can I help you? He says, Rabbi, remember a few hours ago we gave you... He says, yeah, of course. He says, when we finished the meeting with you, we went back home, and I went back home, he went back home, and they told us that my daughter and his son, they said neutrally, they both said, I don't think it's going to be the best shidduch. Let's just hold off. Both of them, they agreed to it. So we want our money back. Says, wait. You said 6 months. Says, you're right. 6 months. We'll give you 6 months. No problem. We'll give you 6 months. Right after that, the Panovich Rosh Yeshiva, he says over the story, he's saying over the story and saying, I never knew where anything was going to come from. I never knew where it was going to, but he knew one thing. When it comes to serving Hashem, Borei Olam, Hashem Yishtabach Shem Olahad, if it's a need, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fulfill that need. And that's the same thing that happens in time and time again.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org